Hello, folks. This is day one of the Matt's Off-Road Games. I'm just going to kind of give our rendition. It's not a rant, it's not a complaint, it's just our experience on the first day. So, obviously, if you know anything about me, people heard my story about getting an EV from the airport. Um, I know my buddies are already kicking me around a little bit, going, "How did you not know it was an EV?" I rented an electric Jeep hybrid in Colorado last month, and I got in it. It was exactly the same. Poke the button, and the thing runs on electric until it needs the gas to turn on. So we get it out of the off the plane in Vegas. We get our luggage. You get on a bus. You go to the rent-a-car center. They've already got the car all set up. You go to your aisle. You get in the car. You poke the button and go. You go down. You check out. You're on the highway, and then next thing you know, you're like, "This is an electric vehicle." I didn't know. I'll be a lot more aware next time. So it said it was, I don't know, 2 hours with traffic on the way up here. It didn't end up being that long. We did stop to eat, and we walked around Vegas a little bit, but it was good for about 80 miles. 80 miles, we had to stop and put charge for $26.88 in it. It was at zero charge. We took it to 90%. We think it was around 58% once we started looking at it. So we drove the 40 miles left from Mesquite, Nevada to St. George and got our hotel. I got up this morning. We drove to Sand Hollow. It was at 90 miles left. So the trip to St. George, or to Sand Hollow from St. George, I don't know, 10, 12 miles and back. Downhill coming back, we didn't use a lot. So I think I'm somewhere around 78 miles. So here we are at the hotel. So that's electric car charging stuff. So the next thing is, we got up this morning. We had breakfast at the hotel. We got out there, had to go register. That was pretty smooth. Actually, you drove up. They give you a wristband. Kind of looks like this, a parking pass, and you go into Sand Hollow State Park, which was on the other side of a road, and you went into the park, and then there was a big long line, and you could kind of see where the event was going to be, but they had the road blocked, and we had to park in the parking lot, which was no big deal. They were going to run shuttles. So we got our car parked way down the back of this parking lot. We walked up to get in the shuttle line. Now, this morning the wind was blowing 27 miles an hour constant, and the sand was blowing, and it was cold. It was in the 40s. We dressed what we thought was accordingly. It wasn't enough. And we stood in that line for 45 minutes. One bus came. So we decided to walk. So we walked. It was a pretty good walk. And we walked to where the event was. It was starting at 9 o'clock. We got to there, I don't know, 9:45, and they were actually getting ready to start the event. We missed all the opening ceremonies. Really wasn't a lot of guidance. I mean, we just followed people and walked in and kind of walked around, and then we walked up the hill. So they did send out event information on their website and with maps. We didn't bring our own off-road vehicle. We didn't rent an off-road vehicle. We flew to Vegas, rented an EV, and drove up here. So first lesson would be, you don't want to come do this event if you are not willing to be outdoors and not willing to hike. So I think they call the obstacle Triple Sammy. I could be wrong, but I think that's the name of it. It's a walk up the hill. Again, the wind was blowing, and it's in the sand, hence the name Sand Hollow. And the sand is brutal. I mean, it is just brutal. So next lesson was, we didn't bring in enough eye protection. Not glasses, you need goggles. You need to wear goggles that seal up against your face. We're going to try safety glasses type glasses tomorrow. I wore these glasses all day. My eyes are just literally grinding in the sockets right now with the sand. So we walked to the event center. It was like 1.7 miles in the wind. We got there. The event was getting ready to start, but so we did a quick pass just through the pits. We ran into Holly from what's her name of her Jeep? Mischief Maker, And she was super nice. She'd remembered us from Texas. We had a conversation, looked at June's nails. Walter took her picture. We took her picture. It was fun. We walked around, saw a few more people. Then we proceeded to walk over to the hill to walk up, and we actually walked through the tunnel, which is shown on Matt's Offroad a lot. It's kind of having perspective of where it's at. I kind of understand how it works now. But anyway, we got to the side, and they were using one of the Humvee service centers as a shuttle, and we just happened to walk up, and the guy was there, and we got in, and we tipped him, but he took us up to the top of the hill. Super nice guy, dropped us off, and then we proceeded to just kind of climbed up rocks. And when I say climb, we were climbing, and we found us a couple of watching stations. So we watched them start, and we were fairly distant, but we got to see if the first 2 or 3 Jeeps walk up, and then we proceeded to Gene and I just walked up and climbed up and went over rocks and everything else, and got to a really good vantage point. Bad thing about it is that it was blowing sand right up in your face. So it was a very good spot. We talked to Matt when he went by. We hooted and hollered as people went by. We spoke to him. High five Brady from Peck Brothers, and we talked to the guy that was driving Light Bright's Jeep, and it was cool. The little boy from BFS come over, and I told him, I said, man, you went up with his tow truck last year. And he goes, I can't even believe I did it. So it was a very good experience. We stood up there, with all the walking and climbing and all that stuff. It was hard to really capture the time, but we stood up there until everybody went by, and there was quite a few Jeeps, and it took a while. And we, like I said, we hooted and hollered, and it was fun. Miserable standing there, fun interacting. So the event doesn't control the weather. So I don't want anybody to say, well, it's the weather. It is the weather. You got to be prepared. Would have been way better with a heavier coat and eye protection. It would have been way better. So we got done with that, walked back down the hill, didn't get a ride, so we're walking in the sand. And this is kind of a sketch moment. There's people, and there's a lot of people here. They are trying to climb the sand hills, trying to get out of where they're parked, and they're going this way and that way. And got to see some guys break some axles digging in the sand. And good thing there's a lot of tow trucks around. But anyway, got through that, got to watch the excitement. It was cool. Walked back down the hill. By the time you get down the hill, Jean's shoes were full of sand, and she's a trooper. She doesn't complain. She just pulled over, says, hey, I'm gonna go dump my shoes out. Dump the shoes out. Hey, I gotta get something to eat. Food trucks everywhere. There's a huge tent, and once you got inside the tent, even though the walls were flapping and everything, and they had plenty of seating, tables, it was packed. Everybody was trying to get in out of the sand, and lots of food selections. I mean, it really wasn't nothing bad. We got some taco bowls, and they were fantastic. So sat in there, met some people, enjoyed our dinner or lunch, and sat in there. And so then the record poll was going to happen. I think it was 3 to 4, 4 to 5, something like that. So it was quite a bit of time. So we had time to walk back around. Very cool. We got to meet people and talk to people. We talked to Matt from Bleep and Jeep, and we talked to the Peck Brothers family. Peck Brothers weren't in there, but their dad was, and the sister and the mom, and they were super. We talked to them probably 20, 25 minutes, and did just a regular conversation. Very cool. All the YouTubers were out. They were interacting with people. It wasn't like you're at a Supercross standing in line getting autographs. These people were out interacting, so that was fantastic. And it was the same thing on our trails. They know that their business is made by people watching them, and they're going to, cater to that. So that part was very cool. So the record poll happened, and so we waited a while, and they were trying to get their speakers going. And again, it's outdoor event, the wind's blowing, everybody's beat down from the wind, and the first 5 or 6 people polling, there wasn't really a challenge. The sand wasn't deep in that particular area, so it wasn't like they had a big dead weight like they did last year, where the guys were really grinding. They pretty much just yanked the truck and drug it across the sand, and it was done. So really kind of anticlimactic. Well, Matt from Matt's Offroad walked down, saw that this wasn't going to work. It was kind of boring. So he got in the vehicles, and they're videoing, and he's dragging the brakes, and he's doing things and making it a pole. And it was really cool because it was some good, really well-built trucks that we've never seen, that I haven't seen on YouTube before, that I'm going to have to look these guys up. There was a 8-wheeled Jeep with a 392 in it that this guy built, and man, it was a monster. And anyway, finally Rory comes out, and he's got sand tires on his dualies and on the front, but they're not big tall tires, and they're not flotation, and he's literally digging holes, and it was pretty cool to watch. So they kind of made that an event near the end. So then after it was all said and done, we walked around, we visited a little bit, dumped the sand out of our shoes and said, okay, it's time to go. Went over to get in the line for the shuttle, and the same stuff. The one shuttle comes, there's a huge line. The shuttle is just basically a small short bus. People get on it, and then the bus disappears, and it's gone for an hour. So we decided we're going to walk back. So we take the hike back. Now we're on the way up. We were walking with the wind. On the way back, we were walking against the wind, and it was brutal. That sand's blowing in your eyes. So that was tough. Again, my wife's a trooper. I was having a hard time keeping up with her, but it was very cool. I'm walking down the road, and I run into Chad from Chad's Fab, and just spoke to him for a minute. Heck, we had sat right there and had a big old long conversation. Jean had time to dump her shoes out again. So like I said, this wasn't a rant; it was just experience. So my experience is this: they call it Sand Hollow for a reason. It is sandy. I do want to come out here and wheel. Finding the opportune weather where it's not 107 or it's not 49 and the wind's blowing 70 miles an hour. I like to find something in the middle. But in the meantime, I think the event is really cool. They probably could have cleaned up a little bit. And I know that they're trying to get 10,000 people in, and I know they got to make an event happen. But there needs to be somebody in charge to make sure that people are getting shuttled back and forth, because we walked a long way. We walked so far that I told myself, I'm not going to, even if they tell me I can't turn here, I'm turning there tomorrow. We're not walking that. I'm not going to spend, we walk 10 miles a day, and that's include climbing up hills and everything. I want to have enough legs to be able to walk up and down the hills without doing the walk back and forth to the parking lot. But we'll say that just being in St. George, we had dinner. Actually, we went to a chain restaurant, which we never do. We went to Olive Garden. Everybody here is super nice. Everybody's just super friendly, way laid back. After being in Fort Worth and watching Fort Worth go from being a little bitty, town it's like this, to a big city with all the people coming in from all the other states, where it's not really fun to be anymore. It's actually kind of cool being here. So day one in the books. Like I said, if you're going to do this event, you're going to have to be an outdoors type, or you're going to have to be rugged, because there's a hiking and it's rough. You're also going to have to be able to deal with the carnage, and you're going to have to be able to deal with the weather, and it's supposed to rain tomorrow. I think the temperatures are going to be about the same, so we actually went and bought some raincoats, and it's like, we're here, we're going to do this. And then I get to deal with this guy. That whole EV thing, that's a whole nother ordeal. It's costing me a ton more than it would have cost a gas vehicle to drive up here. And then the stress of, where do I charge? How do I make this happen? How long does it take? What do we do? How does it work? Yeah, that's not cool either. But glad we did it. Wish the circumstances were a little bit different. Wish they could get that shuttle system down a little bit better. Wish they had a little bit better shuttle system going up and down the hill, because it's kind of iffy. And then walking through that tunnel when the four-wheelers and the Jeeps and the off-road buggies and everything are going back both directions in there, and they're all trying to find the right of way, was sketchy. But again, it's the situation. We put on events. I was proud to be part of the Red River Dirt Riders back in the day, and I am sure, look from the outside looking in, to watching those Red Bull Last Man Standing events, it was probably kind of the same way, but the event ended up being super cool. So I think that this is going to be that way. I think that they needed something to kind of maybe pacify the crowds. It was probably harder just because of the weather. Nobody wanted to be standing on that hill very long. A lot of people came down and they got bored. They were waiting for the poles. There wasn't a place, outside to sit. If you didn't bring a lawn chair, of course we flew in, it kind of sets you up to not have a good experience. So if I decide to do this event again, I'm going to bring my Jeep, just haul it out in the trailer, and then I'll probably camp. And then even if I rent a camper here or whatever, however it works, and that ways I'm here. But anyway, day one, that's first impressions of Matt's off-road games. Just a guy coming and hanging out and watching, and just kind of rubbing elbows with the YouTubers. Been kind of cool. Alrighty.